Hi, and welcome to another BPO Connect webinar. Today we're going to look at free government grants. And I'm Catherine Galland, and I'm joined by Warren Stokes from Your Export Grants. So Warren commenced his first export grants in the late 1980s. He's here to show you about free export grants, government export grants available to your clients.
Thanks very much, Catherine. I appreciate that and appreciate your time for coming to this webinar today. What I'd like to do first of all is just run quickly through what we're going to cover in this session. We're going to cover a little bit about my background, which will show you why I've got the right to talk about grants. We're going to do an overview of grants available to Australian business. We're going to focus today on the export grant area. We're going to look at a couple of case studies so you can see the ways companies really do get money. And I'm going to show you both the benefits to your clients and the benefits to you. And we'll go through the typical steps in gaining a grant. A little bit about my background. I first started with export grants, working for companies going across to Europe in the late 1980s. Apart from that, I've had an extensive background. I've been involved in the sports industry for 10 years, mining, IT, advertising, travel, computer hardware, software. I've been involved in a number of startups, either as an advisor or in my own capacity as a business owner or partner. And I've written marketing and business plans for companies in both Australia and Europe. And for 8 years, I also had a share trading education business based out of Sydney. Back in 2012, 2013, I helped BPO Connect break into the Sydney market, and I may even have spoken to some of you back then. A quick overview of the grants available, and we're just going to focus on the main sectors here. First of all is the export market development grants. Secondly are research and development grants. Thirdly are a number of other grants, and they're specific to industry, location and timing, and there are literally hundreds of those available around Australia. And additional services which are typically related to grants. But what we're going to do today is we're going to focus on export grants. That grant, again, if you're not familiar, is known as the EMDG, the Export Market Development Grant. And it's designed to provide financial assistance to current businesses that are exporting and also ones that are looking at exporting. And the focus there is on small to medium business. It's administered by Austrade, and it has minimum and maximum spending and income thresholds. So that you can get a better understanding, I'm just going to cover some of the key parameters of an EMDG. It's designed for businesses of less than $50 million income, in a financial year. The spend has to be at least $15,000 on overseas expenses. However, as I'll be talking and showing you, you can combine the first 2 financial years in a first grant. And it generally provides 50% assistance, less the first $5,000. Some expenses within the EMDG are capped, and 8 grants may be applied for. That means it can be 7 years or 8 years, and it drops off on a reducing scale. Payments for EMDG are made in 2 tranches on the first grant. The first is on 1st of July for the previous financial year, and the second is at the end of that financial year. So what is actually covered in an EMDG? What can clients apply for? I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, but here are some of the key areas. Overseas representatives, people that you might have on the ground in countries that you're going to be exporting in. Marketing consultants, you can pay for people to go overseas and look forward to getting government assistance. Marketing visits, your client is a business owner or their staff that go overseas and visit countries, whether for research or actual marketing purposes. General communications overseas, free samples, trade fairs, seminars, in-store promotions, promotional literature and advertising done overseas, overseas buying. In some cases you can actually fly a buyer from overseas into Australia to show him your product and marketing systems. And an area which is a bit more involved, which is around the registration and insurance of intellectual property. And there are a few other examples which don't sound like export marketing, but are covered as well, such as inbound tourism and if you're running conferences in Australia. Some key areas that are not covered so that you're aware. Ineligible products, and you can talk to us about those. They include things like pornographic materials, any after-sales activity. For example, commissions. The EMDG is designed for marketing. It is not designed to put commission sales agents on the ground and pay them commissions. And there's 3 countries which you can't include in EMDG applications: North Korea, Iran, and New Zealand, because they keep beating us at the rugby all the time. What I'd like to do is just run through 3 very simple case studies for you. The first one is a client we're engaged with at the moment. They're in the health industry in Australia, and the owner of this company has been flying overseas for the past 2 years, setting up distributors, doing one-on-ones himself. He's expanded into the Pacific Islands this year and New Zealand, and now he's also going further into the United States. He didn't know there was funding available. And just to let you know, typically this is what we find. A small business owner that is exporting or thinking of exporting normally falls into 2 categories. They don't know there's funding available, or they know that's available, but they sort of don't really know what's involved, or they get turned off by the idea of doing all the paperwork themselves. In this case, the owner told me that he'd spent about $100,000 a year in the last 2 years. And the product content is mostly made in Australia. Again, you'll need to talk to us because there are some parameters which can get quite involved around content. Some content can actually come from overseas, be adjusted or repackaged in Australia, and in some cases can still apply for export marketing development grant. And in this case, he's now put on a business manager. The outcome for us now, and as I said, this is a current client, is we're working with the business manager and the bookkeeper. At the end of the day, we don't really want to be working with the business owner. They're running around doing the sales and marketing work. We just want the paperwork and the accurate records of what they're doing. We're researching additional grants for the Pacific region and also the United States. As part of our service, we dig deeper and look again at the many of hundreds of grants that are available for companies. And as this is a first-time grant application, we're going to combine 2015 and 2014 financial years in that first application. Now, in this case, if the eligible spend ends up being $200,000, then the formula looks like this. It's fairly straightforward in this case. It's $200,000 eligible spending, less $5,000 because the first $5,000 isn't permissible, which leaves $195,000. And in this case, we'd be looking at this client getting up to 50% of that back. That's $97,500. Case study 2 is a future exporter, and this is a company which we've just started with. A new product where they're launching overseas. They're looking at a one-off promotional spend of $150,000. They're still in the decision-making process of exporting this product for the first time. Again, they didn't know that there was funding available. Now, the target there will be, again, to get that EMDG support of half the $150,000 minus $5,000, and then ends up being $72,500. Now, the benefit in this case is it totally changes the cash flow and the viability of the clients here that are looking at exporting for the first time, because clearly for them to have thought, well, this is going to cost us at least $150,000, and now they know they might get $72,500 or near that amount back in 9 to 10 months' time, and the balance of it in another year's time, is a big difference. Plus, they can get ongoing support. The final case study that I'll do will be about the actual company that I worked with in the 1980s. Back then, I worked for more than one company, going over to Europe, doing research to see if it was viable for companies in Australia to export into the European market. In this case, the product was the world's first carbon fibre hockey stick. Now, back then, young people on this webinar today won't be aware that tennis rackets used to all be made out of wood, same with hockey sticks, and the world of the sporting equipment was revolutionised when the first carbon fibre and Kevlars and basically what are known as plastic materials were made for sports equipment. Now, this company had to expand. The largest markets in the world for them are the United Kingdom and Europe, particularly Germany and Holland, where hockey is a huge sport. So this company used EMDG for research and then all aspects of marketing and ongoing. For example, they used this to, first of all, subsidise my trip across to look at the viability. I did a second trip for them where I looked and actually spoke to potential distributors, and then the international marketing manager and the CEO of the company came across with me and we went around and appointed the distributors. Then they put me on as the European marketing manager part-time. Again, all this and the various things we did, which included looking at sponsorships, trade shows around Europe, attending major events, was all done with EMDG support. Now, this really is a great little story because 25 years on, this company, Talon, has expanded out of sport. It does everything from making 12-metre power poles. It does customised chairs in upmarket fashion area. It does a whole range of products. This would have all been unlikely without EMDG, so it's a great little success stories. Now, the benefits to your clients, let's just really have a look at them. In the initial case, they can receive funding support for the past 2 financial years in their exporting. They can look at planning new or future exporting strategies based on potential funds that they will receive. It will make their stronger business and more robust and generally more successful. And the way we operate is on a no grants, no fees basis. So there's not really any selling process in it. If you advise your clients they should be looking into this, if we don't think we can get grants, we're not going to charge anything, and then whatever fees we charge are purely based on the grants that we can raise. The benefits to you as an accountant or financial planner, again, you're going to have stronger, more confident and successful clients. If they've got more money, this means there can be more work for you. If they want to do more planning and exporting, we want you to be writing their business plans and marketing plans and working at least on their books and cash flow forecasts. And we pay a healthy referral fee for introducing us. Let's just to be clear on this, we want to work with accountants or accountants and their bookkeepers. It's far easier for us to work there than working with the business owner. And this is a non-competing value add. We're not looking at any other services that we want to tack onto this. And your clients will love you if you find them more money. It really is as simple as that. That's what the clients are looking for. In your roles, you find them more money, they're going to love you more. We do have other services, and I'll just quickly touch on that. I've written sales and marketing systems and done international negotiations, particularly in North America and obviously Europe, where I was based for many years. My business partner and co-founder in this in your export grants is Sheila Waltrick. A little bit about her. She has a 5.5-year degree in international trade, and she's worked for 5 years in import and export in Brazil. And she covers off a lot of the really nitty-gritty stuff, which can be the actual downfall of companies, particularly if they're exporting for the first time, understanding logistics, shipping rules, overcoming bureaucracy. And she's worked hands-on, meeting daily sales figures for exporters and KPIs. And Sheila's fluent in Portuguese, Spanish and English, so obviously any countries in the Portuguese and Spanish market, she can give a foot in there. Now, the typical steps for gaining a grant go like this. You refer us, that's your export grants, a qualified client. We arrange a complimentary phone appointment that's generally 7 to 10 minutes. We engage the client with a very simple one-page document to find their funding, and then we work with you or your client's bookkeeper. Now, if you don't have those services available, of course, BPO have that whole service range available. That would be a very low cost to fix up all those books so that we can get all the information we need for export grants. and then we'll continue researching any additional grants and funding sources for your clients. We do all the paperwork and the grant applications. That's the biggest block for many clients once they go here. The client then will receive the funding, your export grants receives a fee from the client, and then we pay you as the introducer a referral fee within 7 business days. It's a nice, simple win-win-win model. And we'll continue the EMDG applications annually with your client from there. Now, the next step, for more information, please visit our website, which is just simply yourexportgrants.com.au. We've got plenty of information in there, including much more detail on what I've covered today. And with EMDG, we'd like to talk to you now. There's $137 million in funds available, and the application process has started on the 1st of July of each year. So it's all happening now.
Thank you very much, Warren. If you have any more questions, you can get in touch with Warren at yourexportgrants.com.au, or call 1-800-FREE-GRANTS. So thank you, and remember to sign up for the next webinar. We hope to see you there.